Kwidere. The time is almost 8:40. So we're just quickly going into the second hour of the show, but we're going to wrap up the first hour with our hashtag Africa Focus feature here on the show. This is a part of the show where we look beyond our borders and into the heart of the continent's defining stories. And this morning we'll be turning our attention to Sudan, a nation caught in relentless spiral of civil war, displacement, and political fragmentation. In what many have described as a dramatic power move, the Rapid Support Forces, or the RSF for short. I'm sure you've read about them or came across them at some point. The same paramilitary force that is accused of widespread human rights violations has just announced the formation of a parallel government. The new coalition, calling itself the Sudan Founding Alliance, has appointed RSF leader Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, better known as Hemedi, as the chair of its 15-member presidential council. And they claim this is the beginning of a much more circular, democratic, decentralized Sudan. But critics argue this is simply warlord politics dressed in liberation language, and it could plunge the country even deeper into chaos. And to unpack all of that and to understand just the impact that this new alliance will have, we're joined by Dr. Osman Noreldin. He's a Sudanese academic and political leader in the Congress Party, and he's also a member of the Civil Democratic Alliance for Revolutionary Forces, or SOMOUD for short. And he'll be giving us insight, I think, onto a very, very complex Sudanese politics that I think doesn't get as much attention as it really deserves. Because of this, we're witnessing, I think, one of the biggest humanitarian crises unfolding here on the African continent, and it's very, very important that we talk about it, we analyze it, we unpack it the same way we try to analyze, unpack, and understand every other crisis, whether humanitarian induced or naturally induced crisis that is affecting people here on the continent or anywhere across the world in detail. Dr. Noreldin, assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for joining us. Welcome to News and Views. Really appreciate you giving us your time this morning.
Thank you, Zapulala, and thank you for having me, and thank you for your listeners and the viewers.
I think we can begin this conversation with this announcement made by the RSF, this new government, a serious power structure that has been established. What do you make of it? Do you think it's a symbolic gesture in the midst of war, or a genuine, move to have Sudan be a, as they've coined it, a democratic nation that is circular and decentralized?
Thank you, Zapulala, again. Yeah, that's a very complicated issue about the Sudan. As you mentioned in your brief, Sudan is going through a very complex and very complicated crisis, and also a lot of humanitarian crises are going on down there. So we need to reflect on it, and we need to raise the voice so that people must know what is going on in Sudan. Yes, as you mentioned, this formations or announcement of parallel government that announced by TASIS and the RSF as one of the big allies of that foundations, TASIS. It is not surprising this formation. But it's deeply alarming that it confirms many what many of us have been warning about it for many months. That is, Sudan is leading toward a complete fragmentations. That the fragmentations based on ethnical and geographical fragmentations. And now, with this announcement, we will be having, in very shortly, we will be having two military powers or military-led authorities that trying to impose the government by force rather than through the imposing the power through the will of peoples. And this so-called government of peace and unity that established by RSF and its allies and TASIS And on the other hand, also we have this the so-called Hope government,
Mm,
which is based in Port Sudan. Also, both of them are not about peace. These two governments, they are seeking for legitimacy. And we believe that since 2020, October 2021, after the coup, there is no legitimacy. But now these two militaries, they try to force and form a government that push the country back to the fragmentation ethnically and geographically. And also they try to seek a legitimacy of uh, of their representation of the people of Sudan. And we completely reject this movement because we believe this movement is just adding a chaos to the already exist complicated situation in Sudan. And look, both these militaries, neither RSF or RSF, has a legitimacy to speak about Sudanese people. We know that in the government in Port Sudan is a default military authorities that dressed up in civilians clothes and try to representing people of Sudan, and is they are not pretending, they are not protecting people, they are not ending the war. They are currently, as we speak, people are dying, people are displaced, suffering from crisis, but they are just trying to employ some civilians in their government. So I don't think this announcement of the parallel government is about peace. It
mm,
is about the fragmentation of the country, will take the country slowly and slowly to a fragmentation of the country.
mm.
And
And
there are no legitimacy for us. We believe that the only legitimacy for the government that come out of a clear ceasefire and a political dialogue with the board that civilians being involved on it.
And this is very, very important to note. But um, with this declaration, effectively, it means now Sudan has two rival governments. And I think in our conversations, we sometimes speak of high cerebral politics without forgetting how people on the ground are ultimately going to be affected, by things. Just looking at this declaration, whether you agree with it or not, what does it mean when it comes to the issues of governance? What does it mean when it comes to services and just general civilian life in regions where control is contested in Sudan?
Yeah, look, this announcement and this way of try to uh, impose government by military, it's a real and the logic of the militarisms itself. So the idea is a complete explosion of the civilians'
Mm,
voices that demand for peace, for justice, and for democracy. But when they impose this military power with forming a parallel government, either in Port Sudan or this announcement by RSF, this is going to be RSF government, because they have a big hand on it. Yes, there are some civilians that in, and they are going to be saying we are going to talk on behalf of some civilians, especially in the I think they are going to be they are going to be establishing their government in Western Darfur, especially in the Niala. Niala is a South Darfur state. That's where we hearing that they are saying they are going to establish their government there. But I don't believe both of them, they have the power to speak on behalf of Sudanese people. They are going to add more chaos on the already exist. So the problem is the logic of militarism itself. So this is a idea of try to exclude civilians from any dialogue that is going to come on from that. So I don't see they are going to save people in the way that people must be. So in Sudan nowadays, if what they are trying to say, if the power belong to the people who have the guns, not the will of the people.
And speaking about guns, the I think it's the Sudanese Armed Forces, the SAF, has claimed
Yeah.
to have driven the RSF out of Khartoum. Yet we are here now with Hemidi declaring what looks like a presidential council. Just to wrap it up, at this current moment, who actually holds the power on the ground in Sudan today?
Yeah, look, the Sudanese armed force, they pushed the RSF from some part of the Sudan, which is Khartoum and the central side, but most of the western side is still occupied or controlled by RSF. So RSF is still there. RSF is still in the western side of Sudan, and it's especially Blue Nile, South Kordofan, Niala, even around Al-Fashir. Fashir is the fighting where still the fighting is going on, the situation, but the rest of the Darfur's western states are being controlled by RSF. So still the RSF has the power to control some part of it. And the Sudanese armed forces, although they managed to push RSF from the capital, but still they are governing, or they are governing from Port Sudan. Is still on the ground. The capital is not safe, and the infrastructure has been destroyed. So there is nothing that they can go back and say this is the capital where we can govern and people. So still there's a lot need to be done.
No, most definitely. I think
And with this chaos of parallel government will add more chaos on what is already on the ground.
No, most definitely. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Dr. Noreldin, Jazakallah so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on Salam Media to unpack, I think, what is a very, very important topic, and it's unfolding right here on our doorstep in Sudan. So it needs attention, and people need to understand and know the true and lived reality of the Sudanese people and how the politics is affecting the people. So thank you so much for giving us the time and unpacking it all for us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, or thank you also for giving the opportunity. But if you just give me one minute
Sure.
to say, in 1 minute, we are not supporting these two parallel military issues. Is we are having a clear political visions that is establish a new Sudan base of. We have put together a clear political visions based on ending the war, restoring the revolutions, and rebuilding the state itself. And that is our political visions, and we are going toward that one. So any parallel announcement or parallel government looking for legitimacy, we are not giving any of them its legitimacy. So their both are not legitimized since October 2021. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the listener and opportunity. Thank you.
There you go, leader in the Sudanese Congress Party and also member of the Civil Democratic Alliance for Revolutionary Forces, SOMOUD, Dr. Osman Noreldin, unpacking the politics of Sudan and just giving us insight on that parallel government that has been formed. I think only time will tell the impact that it will have on Sudan and whether it is a genuine effort to kind of build a new decentralized, democratic, secular Sudan for all Sudanese people. I think it's a vision that all of us want to see, but looking at the trajectory of things and how, each and every day, there seems to be new attacks on Sudan. Instability continues to rock Sudan, and the people of Sudan continue to scatter into neighboring countries. I think we can only hope and pray and try to talk about Sudan as much as we can at this point. This has been our hashtag Africa Focus feature. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, news and views continues.